somewhere. There you go. So I'll just hand this over to Marcus. Some of you might have seen him in our previous sessions, but I'll let him introduce his talk today. You need this.
Sorry, I just arrived. Not because of traffic, so I can't give that as an excuse. I actually mixed up the time. I thought it was 6. So very sorry about that. I think before I start, some of you might have met me the previous sessions, so, but I also see a number of new faces. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just introduce a bit of who I am, so that you know who is this guy who is standing here on the last session. I'm Marcus Pang. I came to China in 1997. Okay, so it's about 20 years now. 12 years in Shanghai, the rest in Beijing. So of the 20 years, I spent about 8 years running my own business, and the remaining 12 years actually working for people. I'm a management consultant. It's a different industry. If you wonder what we do, how many of you watched 我的前半生? No? Only a few watch the local series. Okay, that's what I do. Okay? Management consultant, basically what we do is we help company to fix their problem. Right? Many of you might have heard of McKinsey. They are in our industry. They look after strategies. You might have heard of IBM. They are in our industry. They look after a lot of what we call IT implementation. So I actually work for Atos, who is the largest European consulting company. And I actually run their Atos consulting part as a partner. So that was my previous job. Currently, I joined one of my clients, who is a state-owned company. So I am their in-house advisor now. Dongfeng, maybe not many people know this company. Let me see. This company, it's one of the 2 automotive company owned by central government. They run about 400 billion a year, 150,000 people. That's the size of them. So it's a very complex state-owned company, if you like. So I'm not going to talk too much about my job today, because I think not many people will be interested in my job. So when Eng Han gave me this assignment, what I did was that I went to look for people who have longer history than me. So those people who have spent more than 20 years in China. And I asked them, what are the few advice they will give to anyone who is coming in now? Of course, these few veterans who are older than me, they still survive today. Okay, now I can't say that we are successful, although being so long here, but at least we found a place that we are still here. All right, so this is what I'm going to share with you today. Actually, I got a lot to talk, but Eng Han said a bit low, so we skipped the first few cartoons. And then, you don't enough time lah. After that, everybody hungry, we need to go makan. That one more important. But if we have time, we can go back, okay? I'm going to start on this page, which is page 4, actually. Now, this one was from one of the veterans that has been in Beijing for more than 20 years. All right, so I asked him, and he said, why you ask me all this? Many years ago, the embassy actually led a group of veterans, to sit down and come up with a list of what of their understanding of China. So this little picture here, oh, sorry, this thing very high tech. Okay, this little picture here was actually the document itself. As you can see, it's very old already. But the 12 rules that's written in there, which I replicate them here, is actually quite relevant still today. So I'm going to run through them one by one, and then we can actually interact a bit, if you have any of the question. The first thing is almost everything is possible. Now in Singapore, a lot of the time we will define there are things that we can do, there are things that we can't do. And can't means can't, no backdoor one, La Guan Si also cannot. But China in general, almost everything is possible. Part of the reason is because they only started opening up the economy 30 years ago. And this is a huge country. There are many things that are still not in place. There are many things that are still improving. So, whenever people tell you something cannot be done, that's always not true. There's always a way to get things done. All right? So, this is the number one thing that you have to believe if you want to do business in this country. Huh? And then the second thing that follows closely with that is, yes, everything is possible, but nothing is easy. Don't assume. Okay? I give you a very simple example. Recently, I was asked that they said, one of my agent came to me and said, Marcus, your company initially was invested from Singapore. I have a holding in Singapore, then I have my own company here and blah, blah, blah. And because history reason, my Singapore company kaput already. But on the record, it is still shown as a WUFI, wholly owned foreign enterprise. He said now they got a very simple policy, just fill out a form, you can convert to individual. Because all my old shareholders all gone already. So literally the company is run by me. So I say, okay, so easy, do lor. 3 months already, still not done yet. I went for my holiday, come back, how is it? Still not done. Now, umpty reason in between. So, things may look simple on the facade, but physically executing it, you always find there are many, many challenges. Now, I look after a number of industry in China for consulting business. Then you find that because of the masses and the size that you're dealing with, a lot of the execution actually come up with problems. So the plan doesn't work exactly the way you want it to be. And that's why it comes with this word called nothing is easy. Not even the simplest thing. The previous session was about food, I think. They will tell you, you're getting a license can kill you already. To get the shop start running. So, nothing is easy. And the third one is, we call Western business logic does not apply. Now, this is a very big topic. Western business logic covers a wide area on how we think, how we behave, how we logic things out or reason things out, etc., etc., etc. And you'll find that a lot of time it doesn't apply to how the Chinese think, especially when you deal with the state-owned company. All right. On this note today, maybe you need to segregate them a bit. When you deal with a state-owned, and you deal with a private company, and you deal with the joint ventures, they will have different agenda and different business rules. All right. So this one again, you have to be a bit more careful to deal with when you come to here. All right. And when you deal with state-owned or with government, then you totally realize that this is a politically driven organization. So don't talk about business logic. The business logic will give way to political reason. Right? The fourth one is that it is a fun project if there's no deadline. This one may be not so true already today. In the old days, their concept of time is money doesn't apply. So it's like when I first came here, I applied for my business license. The first thing I asked my secretary was, how long will it take to get? Then they will look at me blank. 7 days later, we will get the first document. I say, okay, then where will I get the rest? We will know then. So you don't know one, You just have to keep, and it will reach there. But these days, it has improved a lot. Especially if you go to Shanghai, certain part of Beijing, maybe, they give you a more defined time set. Again, that is, if everything falls into standard, 6 to 8 months. As if 2 months not very important like that. So for a lot of Singaporeans who first came, because in Singapore, you organize your timetable in advance, and what is surprisingly is everything execute accordingly. China, So you have to have that kind of understanding. Okay? So time is still something that you have to work with. And again, this country is 5,000 years. So they all be kanchong one. They really be kanchong one. Take their time. You get things done. If things not done today, you'll be done tomorrow. So they work that way. And more so if you work with state-owned company. And more so if you're dealing with the government. Okay? The more you want to rush them, the more you don't want to do. Okay? So this is an interesting culture that you have to understand. The fifth one is that this one, which actually just now I think I heard Crimson say the same thing also. You must have a bit of passion. You must have a bit of patience as well. If you believe this thing will work, you tahan. The last session, a few of the restaurants owner, they will tell you, have enough pocket to burn for a few years if you believe in. You are here. You know, you have to believe in it, and then you get it. It doesn't work like Singapore. Fast, clearly defined, and I would say KPI oriented. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so you need to have enough pocket to last that long. I mean, everybody knows about GPS today, right? Trackings and all this kind of stuff. I tell you, I actually started one company in year 2000 doing the same thing. But you can see it flops. It's too early. I cannot tahan for 10 over years. You know, but if I started today, too competitive. So maybe 5 years ago is a good time. You know, so you must have that kind of patience to sustain if you want to believe in sustain. So 5 and 6 actually goes together. All right. Now, these are the few phrases that you might want to take note a bit. When someone tell you that you don't know China, means they don't agree. Okay, they tell you don't know China, means they don't agree with what you say, but they don't know how to argue with you, and they don't feel like arguing with you, then they just say, you don't know China. Okay? The new regulation means, again, something to avoid. All right? So which is why it tallies back to everything is possible. So they always got new regulation to address the new issue again. Internal regulation. Wow. Means almost want to quarrel already. Okay? So there's some of the terms that they will use those days. And you will find that it's still very true if you go down to level 3 city. Okay? These are some of the words that they use in level 1 city in 10, 20 years ago. Basically, no problem. Oh, means a lot of problem. You will hear this favorite phrase in China. 基本. You know? 基本完成. 基本没问题. I always want to ask them, what is 基本? You know, is how many percent? You know, means what? What is 基本? Anyone can have a good definition. You don't have one, you know. I mean, to us, it's like, okay, it means okay. Actually, means very not okay, you know, when they say such word. Okay? So, again, pay a bit of attention. This one, it means big problem. Now, the last two is, we call it the recursive rules. If you're very optimistic about what you're doing, okay, think about rule number 2. Okay, means you are probably getting into trouble. And then if you are very discouraged, think about rule number 1. That gives you hope. And that's why I think many of us still here after 20 years. Okay, this piece of note, I can't call it official because there's no official stamp. But it was then the effort. And I think a lot of them still apply today. And I hope it helps all of you, whatever business venture that you want to go into. Copy it down if you want, take a photo if you want, you know. If you like this yellow piece of paper, I can give it to you. And then what I did was that I asked some of the others who are not in Beijing their views and some advice. So we get one of these guy. He said, he gave an advice, said a good relationship is everything in any successful venture. Yes is not always a yes. Now again, this is a culture that you need to understand. And how you define good relationship. This one, you really got to learn, man. Come, anybody want to give it a shot? What is good relationship? You cannot speak, huh? You've been here too long. In Singapore, when we say good relationship, what do we mean? Anybody? Come. Don't be shy. We are all Singaporean. Anyone not? I always very worried, because they tape the whole session. So I got a bit diplomatic. Somehow now I work for state-owned. I have to be very diplomatic here. When we say good relationship, we are still very business. Okay? We're still very business. When in China you really talk about good relationship, there are a few ways that you can help yourself define this. If you go there, ask a guy out for dinner, would he go with you straight away? This is a very good yardstick to say you and him are in good relationship. It doesn't mean that he has a meeting with you, he's very happy with you, he shake your hand, pat your shoulder, well done. Sorry, all those gay one, not good relationship. Define it by you call him, he come out and have a meal with you. Define it by you call him for men, massage my, go. Okay? If you can do that, that is good relationship. See the family, that is probably one of the very challenging one. If you can ever reach there. Okay? It's unlike us in Singapore, when we have good friends, we invite. Sometimes colleagues we also invite to house. Chinese don't do that, unless you're really in the circle. Okay, so good relationship, if you can reach there, a lot of things can be done. Money, everything can be discussed. Now let's look at the second one. Know who the real decision maker is. This one is a bit different from doing business in Indonesia or Malaysia or anywhere in Asia where you try to trying to work on someone who think is a decision maker. In China, you find that somehow everyone is a decision maker. And everyone is not a decision maker. This is the jialat part, I tell you. You really spend your head on everyone until at the end, everyone cannot decide for you. So again, very, very challenging. And again, this one depends on you're dealing with private company or you're dealing with state-owned company again. Now, if you're dealing with private company, yes, usually the big boss has a lot of say. Okay, if you settle him, you settle a lot of things. But again, if the company is super big, try Huawei. The guy on top there doesn't deal with too many things. Even if he'd agree and approve, in between, still got a lot of nothing is easy. Okay, it might come up. State-owned, lagi worse. From an engineer to a 科长 to a 处长 to a 部长 and to don't know what 长八长 a lot. Wow. Everyone gay one. So at the end, they want collective decision. And the collective decision, they have to then balance each other, blah, blah, blah. So at the end, you don't know who is the decision maker. So finding out who is the real one become very key. Until then, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time, okay? Or otherwise, your forecast is always out. I can tell you. With June 1. Because your deal will never get it done. Now, he also said that China is a very big market. You have to use local, think global, blah, blah, blah. Okay. As a foreigner, we'll never be able to profess, to understand how local does things or the speed in which things are done locally. Use a local team, trust them, motivate them. Now, this one, again, depends on industry that you're in. Depends on what you're doing. Now, there's certain truth and value in this statement. All right? Which is also applicable sometimes in Singapore. You can trust your team, let them do their work, don't micromanage them. But I think some of them veterans will tell you, 怎么死都不知道. Yes, You don't micromanage them, but doesn't mean that you don't manage them. Okay? You need to know what is going on. You need to have your own channels to get your information. Actually, you need to really monitor the whole situation. Pretty much like, you watch some of those drama series, the emperor has his own fleet of spies running everywhere, gather info, because the info they pass out from the hierarchical channel always get distorted. Always get distorted. So it becomes difficult when you try to manage the people down here. All right? So this is, again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, I said, to look at this. Now this is another one, beautiful lady. She gave 3 advices. One, change your mindset from small to big. Now what she's telling me is that in Singapore, every time we say that I want to deal with this company, can I meet the boss? I have the same problem. I was trying to help one of the Singapore company who's doing autonomous driving, the technology. So I say, okay, I arrange a session for you all to come in. Am I seeing the CEO of Dongfeng Motor? Oh, I look at him. It's a bit difficult for me to tell him my ex-CEO is now Minister for Communication, That's the level, And you want to see him, I can't even see him, And I'm an in-house advisor, excuse me, sir. So this is a very big country, a very big operation. And sometimes it doesn't mean that you meet the top guy, it helps. Sometimes you have to meet the guy who's actually doing that part of the work that has interest with you. Then it might help. So again, you have to understand this is a big country. So when we come from Singapore to here, you have to switch that part of the mindset. Okay? Second is that know and immerse into the Chinese culture. Now this one, I think I need to put inverted comma on it. Now the Chinese culture is very different from the Singapore culture. They're very different from our value systems. And I know many of us in the early days, we come here for 5 years, 6 years, we concluded we're all very big check, all high blood pressure, cannot tahan, And today still true, a lot of their behavior, their value systems, very different from ours. Now we're not asking you to adapt, okay? We're not asking you to adopt either. We're just asking you to understand and deal with it. Now, we are fortunate that we are educated in Singapore, that basically Western culture. So we deal with the Europeans, we deal with the US. We have less challenge, because the value system, the behavior, the thinking, more or less the same. Then Malaysia, Indonesia, all kawan-kawan, also not so difficult. But China, unfortunately, runs totally on a different set of value system. Okay? I guarantee you wouldn't like it. But you have to learn to deal with it. So this is one thing that you have to really, this is the one that I also advise a lot of my other colleagues, is you accept that it is different first. Don't assume you understand Chinese. You don't. And you better make clear to him that you don't understand him. And tell him that you're not Chinese, you're Singaporean. Because sometimes get worse, he think you understand him, Then he say, why you act like that one? We don't, We have totally different value systems, different education system. We are brought up in different environment. So we don't think the same. The South China Sea event give you a very good, clear view already. Our ministers still say we want to follow the judgment rule, the arbitration court, blah, blah, blah. But this is how, for those who attended the embassy dinner, this is how Singaporeans look at the world. We would like it resolved that way, but Chinese don't look at it like that. Okay? They have their views. We're not here to judge whose view is right. We're here to say that since you want to do business in this environment, understand their view, deal with it. For those of you who are a lot of young faces, who are still students, mingle around with your classmates. Okay? Understand how they think and feel and like. It helps you a lot, okay, in your future dealing with the Chinese. Okay, never give up, be persistent. This one, everybody tell you. Even China tell you that. It means keep giving me money, keep investing, don't roll away. But it gets better. I think if I look at most of us who've been here 20 years and more, our life improve as it go along, and we fit in better, and we manage to find a position where we can contribute, as our Crimson say, value, as we move along. Okay, you will manage to find a place and a balance of this interesting culture and how you can bring value to them. Okay, see, embrace local friends and culture. Another one will tell you that. Embrace, again, I put inverted comma, not asking you to like it, not asking you to become it, but asking you to really understand it and deal with it. You know, we are here to do business. So, if there's money, we do. Okay? So, he may behave very weird, but he give me a lot of money, so I just deal with it lah. I'm not asking you to do that as well, right? So they talk very loud, for example. They always go on tour. When you hear very loud one, oh, jialat yao, big tour group from there. Okay, but this is their behavior. Their behavior is to have happy dinner together, everything together, happy, right? But if you go to Japan, why very, very quiet? You know, right? Cannot trouble people. The last trip I went, one Shanghainese family, the mother was asking the son, to go to the counter to ask the counter people, where's the dustbin? She want to throw a rubbish. The son studied in Japan. The son refused. Then the mother was very angry. You tell me how to say it in Japanese, I go and ask myself. The son refused to teach her. Now, anyone here understand why? Because in China, it is natural that if I'm in a hotel, I have things to throw, I of course ask the hotel people to help me. Even in Singapore, we do the same. But in Japan's culture is, sorry, your rubbish, you bring home and settle yourself. Don't trouble other people. So again, you see, this is different culture. But it's human. We bring our culture to another place and we expect people to work the same. It doesn't work that way. So unfortunately, this is big. This country is big. This culture is strong. You can't change them also. So you just have to understand how they behave and work, deal with them. Now, not easy, I'm a consultant, so sometimes I can talk very well. But to come to execution, sometimes it's challenging even for myself. When I deal with state-owned, sometimes I also very picture, I also go toilet and shower and then flush. But you have to deal with it. I'm not asking you to like it, but you have to learn to deal with it. This is the way they work. And whether you like it or not, for the last 30 years, the country is growing better and better. There's still a lot of problems, but they're getting better and better. So which shows that maybe in this environment, maybe this is the way for them to get along. It will take some, I won't say years, it will take some centuries for them to become the same as the rest of the world, okay? But they are moving that way. So let's have a bit of patience, a bit of understanding to look for that. Now, always look out for business opportunity and keep learning. This guy is because I think he's in education business. But again, China, again, they are progressing every year. And the word keep learning is very true. A lot of the experience that we have 20 years ago doesn't apply today. It changes. Okay, so you have to be very current on what is actually happening now. This one is finding a Chinese partner. Again, this one asks you to find partner. All right? Finding a city to operate. Ask you to look at tier 2, tier 3. Look for all business opportunities, succeed in tier 1 and repeat the process. Okay. So this one is simple. This and second page. That's all. I have only 2 pages. In case some of you start to feel bored. Now, don't think you know Chinese, you know the culture. Okay, I think what he meant was not because you speak Mandarin means you know Chinese. So I think this is what he's trying to say. Okay, many of us speak Mandarin, especially the younger generation. I have the advantage here compared to Cripson. I'm a debater actually, so my Chinese foundation is very strong. But that makes it worse. I think I understand Chinese. Actually, I don't. And to tell you, I have my dark days. I really have my dark days. I have 2 years of dark days where I squat just like a poor Chinese in a small quarter and survive through. I wouldn't dare to go home to ask for more money and blah, 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 blah. So I pay my lessons as well. Okay? So this is very important. Okay? Don't try to teach people to do things the Singapore way. This is another very important one. All right? We each have our own culture. Culture is formulated over decades. So you're not here to change them. You're not here to change them. You're here to do business with them. Understand that and deal with it. Don't compare and think you're better. Time has changed. The world is round and we don't know who is following who. Just now, Kim Song also say, the tank become much bigger the next day already. So, yeah. Remember, this is China, okay? He's put some words out there. People, commission, 关系, relationship, etc., etc. Okay. Some of you already know this. This guy says it's a bit different here. In China, you have the masses, the scale, demand will be different. Basically, know the rules, know the market, know your strength, your product, and how deep your pocket is. Knowledge in unknown place. Again, people telling you to note the difference between size. The size is very different. Okay? And of course, I also meet veterans who tell me he's too busy. Not always successful. Okay, that's my takeaway for every one of you is patient. Okay, whatever you want to do, be patient. Let it flow. Let nature take its course, and it will come to what you want. You know, our Malay always say, "Relax." Okay.
Thank you, Marcus. They were very interesting as well. A lot of very relevant topics that he's brought out. So while Yinghan's still trying to set the system, I'll also share an experience very similar to what Marcus was going through in that line. In my 3rd year in China, when I was managing a team of designers, I'm a designer by training. So as I was managing this group of designers, one of the direct challenges that came to me was, what makes you my leader? Why should I listen to you? Right? It's just because you're holding a red passport. Because, truth be told, we are all Chinese. Somewhere along our ancestry line, you know, we were from China. I'm a 2nd generation Singaporean. My parents were born in Singapore, but my grandparents, both sides, were from China. Okay, so when he actually said that, when my team members actually said that to me, the only difference between you and me is that your grandparents went to Singapore and mine didn't. You know, so why are you actually managing me now? Why should I be listening to you? So when you actually understand that's where they're coming from, that unbalanced, you know, mentality, that, you know, 不服气, right? You start tackling that issue differently rather than saying, oh, because we have this system, because I know better. Okay, you start explaining to them, look, I'm here to share this with you. I'm not saying I'm any better. These are my experiences from my education, from my background, and I'm sharing this with you. This is my exposure. And if you think it doesn't work, I would like to include you in the discussion, and I want to hear what you have to say. And very luckily, subsequently, the team, you know, I earned my respect from them, and they were much more easy to manage. So I think it's very much what Marcus was talking about. It's not coming in to teach, it's understanding what their concerns are and addressing it. So nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's just understanding, accepting it, and finding a way to deal with it.